Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. Today, I'm reacting to my third and final Spooky Vibes video for you guys. And this was titled Three True Lifeguard Horror Stories. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this light soft, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction on the road and in the bag, shall we? Okay, here we go.
This is a very messed up story, but I'll tell it the best I can. Back when I was 16, my parents owned a beach house up in the Northeast. Every summer, we would head up there and live in the house from the end of May to September.
That's cool.
But it wasn't all vacation all the time. My parents made me work and get a job. And my job was to lifeguard the beaches from Monday through Friday. And just for context's sake, I am a female. Well, it was the start of the summer season, and I was lifeguarding the beaches. It was actually a really cool job to have. That was until the man. This guy would always be alone on a packed beach, would come up to my lifeguard stand, and always try to start some small talk with me.
Man, I'm sorry that your parents had to make you work during the summertime while you're staying at your beach house, but I get it. They want you to feel responsible, but it'd be kind of creepy and annoying that somebody would just keep on walking up to you while you're trying to be a lifeguard on duty, and they just want to keep on talking to you. But let's just see what happens next.
Even at the age of 16, I knew that he was trying to hit on me, but I could tell that he was definitely older than me. Like, he had tattoos all over his body, his nose was pierced. I just got the sense that he was like in his mid-20s. I'd always be polite to him, but I definitely tried to keep the conversation short. Well, this one time, I think he was a little drunk, to be honest. He came up to my beach stand. He said he's going to pretend to drown, and that I need to come out there and save him and give him mouth-to-mouth. He said this was some kind of fantasy kink of his. It was at this point that I had to tell the guy to back off. I was pretty rude about it and told him I'm only 16, and that if he continues to try to keep talking to me, especially in a sexual way, I will get the police involved.
There you go. That's what you need to do. Because if people don't know how to back away from someone when they're getting kind of annoyed with you, then they're really troublemakers. It's kind of sickening just to hear that he would go into the water just for her to get him out and do mouth to mouth. I mean, like, ugh. He really does have some weird sex kink. She stays alert. Be careful, because if that guy comes back, he might do something terrible to her since she turned him down.
You would have thought that I killed his dog or something, but the guy stormed away, looking very hurt. Well, about a week later, it was around 5 p.m., and that's when our lifeguard duties on the beach end. I was getting ready to pack up and start heading back home, when someone from behind me called my name. It was that guy again. Except, I could tell that he was on drugs or extremely drunk. My guess was that it was both. Mind you, I was the only lifeguard on duty on this section of the beach, and there weren't that many others around us because it was sort of a rainy day. I was very uncomfortable at how alone we both were. I didn't say a word and continued to pack up my things when I saw that he was now standing right behind me. He looked like a complete mess. I was about to say that I'm calling the police when he pointed a gun directly at me. I'm talking the barrel was inches from my face. His hands were shaking. My throat was literally so tight with shock and fear, I could barely breathe and couldn't get a single word out. He put the gun to my forehead, looking me straight on, and said that he should kill me right now for rejecting him. But he said he won't do that because he's a man, and that's not a manly thing to do. Then he moved the gun from my head to his. He had it aimed at his temple. My voice finally came back to me, and despite this guy being an absolute maniac, I said, "Please, don't do this." I'll never forget his last words. He said, "Oh, now you want to save me," and then pulled the trigger. I won't go into great detail, but I understand why soldiers come back with PTSD. Seeing someone die in front of you isn't like how you see in the movies. It's haunting and final.
Oh, yeah, you got that right. I would have been trying to fight that dude and get that gun away from him, but thank God he did the manly thing and not shoot her. I would be traumatized to see him shoot himself. I know she would be having nightmares for a while after seeing that.
And believe me, my psyche has been affected by this. I'm now 23 and have kids of my own, and I still need therapy from that day. I did come to find out that that guy was a heavy drug user and a drinker. He'd been kicked out of all the places people try to take him in and help him. It's tragic, honestly. But I'm alive and well, and that's all I can care about right now. Be safe, everyone.
That's the positive attitude you got to have, because if he rejected getting help because of his heavy drug and alcoholism use, then it's not your concern. He self-deleted himself because he probably didn't want to bear living in this world with people rejecting him. And I know that it'll take some time, but you'll get over this whole incident. But let's get to story number 2 now, shall we?
Nothing in this life surprises me anymore. Back in 2019, I was a lifeguard over at our local YMCA. And, for context, I was a 20-year-old female at the time. The pool I lifeguarded for had a very strict rule of no holding anyone down underwater. We had a lot of kids come in, and that's all they wanted to do to each other. It was a Friday. I was working the morning shift. I hadn't even been on duty for 15 minutes when I saw at the very far end of the pool this kid holding another kid underwater. I blew my whistle from my tower for them to stop right now. I saw the kid look up at me, blatantly disregard my command, and continue to hold the kid underwater.
Typical. He's probably one of them bullying type of kids that don't care about anybody else. That's why he's holding down another kid underwater so long and not obeying your command to stop. At this point, I'll be jumping in the pool and pushing that kid over and tell him to stop and get out of the pool right now and let the other kid breathe, because that's really a dangerous thing people can do, especially young kids roughhousing with each other.
I blew it again and said, "This is your final warning to stop, or else I will have you removed." The kid, still ignoring my commands, then flipped me the bird. Before I could even react to that, that's when I noticed the kid that it was holding underwater had stopped splashing around and was lying very still. I jumped off my tower, ran over to the far end of the pool, and jumped in. I pulled the kid out from under the water. His eyes were rolled back in his head, and he wasn't breathing. I'll never forget what the kid who held him under said to me as I was pulling him out of the water. He said, "I hope he's dead and in hell." I ignored this kid's comments and got the other kid out of the pool and laid him down. I immediately started applying CPR to him. After minutes of nerve-wracking attempts at saving this kid's life, he finally threw up water and his eyes rolled back to normal. I had called for my higher-ups to come over and help me sort out this mess. After the kid was sitting up and breathing, an ambulance still had to come and take him to the hospital just to make sure that everything was okay. It was only later on in the day that I had actually found out the kids were brothers. And here's the disturbing part. The older one was holding the younger one underwater because last week, the younger one had played with his Legos without asking him. The older brother decided he wanted revenge and literally attempted to kill his younger brother.
Over Legos? Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. Man, if I was dad, I'd be beating his tail up like crazy and sending his butt to a mental place, because apparently he can't handle sharing Legos with his brother. And I cannot believe he said, "I hope he burns in hell when he dies." He's really one heartless sibling. I'm just glad that kid was okay and they got the water out of him quickly.
They were both 6 and 4. What's mind-boggling to me is that a 6-year-old knows what murder is. Not only that, but actually wanted to murder his own brother at that. I've since heard that their father isn't in the picture, and their mother pretty much lets them do whatever they want. I'm terrified of who that 6-year-old will grow up to be when he's an adult.
That's why They don't have no discipline. If the dad was still in the picture, he would have been straightening them boys out right then. And I cannot believe the mama just lets them do whatever they want. I mean, imagine she got the news that her boy was killed by the other boy. Then her attitude would have changed straight. And that 6-year-old would have been sent to like juvenile prison or a mental hospital. I feel like that boy needs to go there because he really needs to get some mental help. And maybe he can straighten his butt out while he's there. Or take him to that Scare Straight program where they take juvenile delinquents through prisons and show them what it's like when you get locked up in there. Then his butt will be straightened out. I guarantee it. I just hope he don't end up becoming a bully or a serial killer when he grows up. But thankfully, the lifeguard did the right thing and jumped in and got his brother out of the pool and saved him. Because that's totally messed up. That one brother would drown another over him playing with his Legos. That part really pisses me off.
I still have nightmares to this day because of this story. When I lived on the coast of New Jersey, my summer job was a lifeguard. For the most part, it was a very boring and uneventful position until it happened. I was up in my lifeguard stand with my coworker Joe. We had just set up our green flags, which indicate to people where they can and cannot swim in the ocean. We were talking about our plans for the weekend when I saw something floating nearby. From my post, it looked to be some kind of big fish, but it was hard to tell. I got off the lifeguard stand and went to the water to investigate. When I got within 5 feet of it, I could tell from where I was that it was not a giant fish or a sea turtle, because sea turtles did not wear suits. It was a full-grown adult man, dressed in a suit, floating face down. I remember just knowing that he was dead before I could even turn him around. I radioed for Joe and Mike, my superior, to come help me get the body to shore. He was definitely dead. He was bloated, and you could see that some sea creatures had nibbled on him. We were in the process of clearing everyone out of the water when we saw 3 more big things floating in the water nearby. It was surreal seeing more bodies appear and just floating on the ocean water like bait.
Oh yeah, that would be creepy to see. They probably were victims of an assassin, and they're probably on like one of them luxurious boats or yachts, and they got pushed off and thrown in the water, and they floated up to shore with sea creatures nibbling on them. Ugh. That's my theory. I'm just going with that right now.
When we got these bodies pulled to shore, they were also bloated and partially eaten. I truly thought that I would never see a dead body in my life, but on that day, I saw 4. We had to get the police involved. A few days went by, and we finally had some answers. About a week prior to the bodies floating up on shore, a small charter plane had crashed a few miles out. There were 10 people total on board. None survived. The 4 bodies that washed up on shore were the only bodies they found. The rest were completely missing. I try to be respectful of the dead, but I've had countless nightmares of the bloated man in the suit, hiding in a corner of my room, laughing and giggling. All in all, it was a traumatic time in my life. I still even go to therapy. I never found out how the plane actually crashed, and still to this day, the rest of the bodies have not been found.
Okay, it won't no murder done on a boat, thank God, but it's still scary to think that the plane crashed out that way and some of the bodies floated up from it. But I guarantee you the rest of them were probably still down in the water, and the others were just able to break free from the wreckage and float up. I don't know, but that would be creepy to experience for sure. Especially, she says she started having nightmares with one of them. That will be when you need to seek counseling. I'm just sorry that had happened to you that day. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more spooky vibes content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and I said that's a wrap, and have a nice day, y'all.